Hello, welcome to the United Man. My name is Shane. This is the Manchester United preview for the game versus Watford at home. It's going to be an interesting one. Are we going to get the win? The Omen says that we are. Our home record against Watford say we are. This is how we go. Okay. Before we get started, just wanted to identify one of the points that was raised. I was in a conversation with one of my friends. Long story short, we've always done traditionally well against Watford. That being said, I'd like to be able to see us put Watford to the sword. Obviously, how we played last time against them at home wasn't great. Obviously, sorry, away from home wasn't great. The record states that we're gonna win at home. We've not lost, I believe, since 1985 at home. Now we've won our last six at home against Watford. We've scored, let's have a look. We've scored 14 goals and conceded two at home. Now, our current form, like I say, our current form would suggest that we're not going to concede too many. The problem is how many we're going to score going the other end. Now, continuously, as we all know, our main issue has been breaking teams down. Hence why we brought in Bruno Fernandes. Now, before that, we pretty much had Paul Pogba as our only source of creativity. What I don't want to do is get into that same rut with Bruno Fernandes, whereby he's our only source of creativity. He's the only one that's going to be affecting things going forward. We need to. We can't do it right now. Well, we could, like Chelsea have. They've announced that they've pretty much got the Hakim Ziyech deal sewn up. What I'd like us to do is be in that same position where we're signing players, saying, "Yep, this deal was on the line. We're going to make it official once the summer transfer window opens." Pipe dream at the moment. We don't operate like that. As I said before, our home record against Watford is pretty much pretty good, as history would dictate. 14 goals, we've scored, two conceded, and in the last six games, well, last six home games, I should say. Now, Watford, they're a difficult proposition to judge. Obviously, leading up to our game when we played them away, ultimately when Nigel Pearson had just taken over, they were in a real bad rut, and ultimately they were looking like they were gonna hit the relegation scrap. Since Nigel Pearson's come in, they've not been on that trajectory anymore. They've been consistent. They've looked like the Watford of old. Their work rate's been what it was beforehand. So I think for Watford, it was just a case of too many managers in too few time, and that's what I don't want us to fall into the trap of, being in the same situation as well. Now, that being said, I've already mentioned our main problem has always been breaking sides down. Now, if Watford come at us, which because they're not at home, I don't know if they will come at us too much. But if we can get Greenwood and Marshall starting together, and then Daniel James doing his defensive duties, getting back, tracking back, and getting forward on the counter, should that opportunity arise, then I think we'll create enough opportunities. It looks like we're probably going to be starting with Fred and Matic again in the two holding defensive midfielders position, which for those of you that know me, you know that I'm not a fan of that system. I much prefer to go with a 4-3-3 where we're forcing the issue on the opposition rather than waiting for them to come onto us. Ollie seems to really favour this formation. If he hasn't played with the two holding midfielders, then we've played a 3-5-2 against the so-called bigger teams. I hate saying that because I'm used to us being up there as well. But anyway, if we are to deploy the 4-2-3-1, I believe that's going to play right into Watford's hands. I really do. I feel like we need to be forcing the issue. I feel like we should be making sure they're having to defend against us. I feel like we should be putting them on the back foot. I feel like we should be the team that's taking the game to them and them trying to pick us off on the counter attack. But at the moment, we're a one-trick pony at the moment. We are a counter-attacking side, and none of the best sides in the world are strictly only counter-attacking sides. Yes, they can counter-attack. Yes, they have different types of ways of scoring goals. Whereas for ourselves, we can only score on the break, on the counter-attack. Simple as that. So very, very disappointing to see that's where we are at the moment. We've got the players, I still believe, to go and affect Watford enough to ultimately, as I say, force them back, put them on the back foot, not waiting for them to try and, for want of a better word, come at us and then us trying to hit them at break. Plus, we're at home. We should be taking the initiative and trying to basically take the game to them and hit four past them, hit five past them. You know, that's what I want to see against the so-called lesser teams. Although, albeit our form is sort of dictating that we are now a mid-table team as well. I wanted to try and touch on as well the fact that we've not scored in our last two home league games either, because one, we've lost against Burnley 2-0. Two, we drew with Watford 0-0. Now, losing to Burnley at home, come on, man. Losing to Burnley at home, that's yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's just, for me, doing what I believe what Ollie will do tomorrow, set up the same way he's done all season long, setting up as a counter-attacking team, 4-2-3-1. Ultimately, that's not going to give us the guile and enough press going forward. We're constantly going to have two holding midfielders sitting in front of our defence, looking to marshal them, pretty much because Matic doesn't have the athleticism to laterally get across and cover across both centre-backs, both in the middle and either side of their shoulders. He just doesn't have the athleticism. Fred doesn't have the positional sense, unfortunately, to understand where he needs to be in any one moment. So he can't cover that position on his own, which is why Ollie tends to go with it or has gone with it all year round. I don't recall there being one game where he set up with one holding midfielder, two central midfielders, and three attackers in front of that. Hence the 4-3-3. I've not seen that yet. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. Just wanted to also touch on the fact that I've already mentioned the fact that we haven't been conceding many goals. Obviously, Burnley 2, we shipped 2 in against them, and also against Liverpool in the league, we shipped 2 in against them. My main concern will be scoring goals. I've said it all season long. I don't believe defensively that we're bad. I just believe that the midfield has been terrible. I just believe that the midfield has been subpar, lack of quality, not what we need. And we've just stagnated on that. And we've been found out. We've just sat on our laurels. We've not gone out and taken the transfer market by the scruff of the neck by any means. We've been caught procrastinating again, trying to do a deal where we've got the money to go and spend. So I don't know. I just think it's crazy, if I'm honest. I just think we're just shooting ourselves in the foot again. Simple as that. I'd like to see us press high again like we did in the pre-season. Pre-season, we look really good. When you've got certain average players, look at Liverpool's central midfield three, for example. Which one of them are world class? I wouldn't say any of them. The closest you'd get, I'd say, is an inform fit Fabinho, which, you know, Jordan Henderson in his own right, he isn't world class. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's doing really well, and I'm an Oxlade-Chamberlain fan from when he was at Southampton playing on the wings. He's done really well. It's good to see him back from injury. James Milner isn't, Wijnaldum isn't, Keita isn't, but they work within a fantastic system that allows them to go and press Harry. They've got the stamina to do so. They've got the understanding to do so. Even if they didn't have the positional sense to do so, they've worked at it so much. They've worked at it tirelessly to know where they need to be in any one situation. So that's what I feel our midfield would need to have to help them in terms of what to do in any one given situation. Whereas I just feel like they've been told to play there, recycle possession, try and get it to Pogba when he was fit, try and now get it to Bruno Fernandes. And Andreas Pereira, he was never good enough to start for Manchester United. Maybe a squad player, maybe. I just don't feel like we have the setup tactically to make the best out of the players that we have. Now, if you look at a central midfield three of, say, McTominay screening for the back four, and then Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in front of those as a 4-3-3, then having Rashford off the left, Martial down the middle, and starting with Daniel James on the right, bringing on Greenwood later on, or Igalo for Martial, depending on how he plays. Which brings me on to my next point. I feel like for Igalo to get on the pitch early, Martial will need to have a bad game. And in terms of consistency, he's not really shown that he's going to have a good game. Martial, he's not really shown that he's going to be a threat. It's just not been there. Now, I know he's scored, the other day, but it's just, for me, for Martial, it's not enough. Simple as that. I feel like for us to really stand any chance of getting anywhere near the top four, Martial has to go on a blinder between now and the end of the season. I'm talking 10 goals, potentially 15 goals in all competitions. I can't see that happening realistically. That's just based on his whole career at Manchester United. He's never been consistent, never. So some will argue that he's never had the opportunity as a front man, as a number 9, because of Ibrahimovic coming in, and then Lukaku following him in behind. This season, he's had all season. He's pretty much been injury-free the majority of the season. He's pretty much been the number 9 for the whole season when he's played. Just hasn't taken his opportunities. Now, people stress about his attitude, his work ethic, his work rate. For me, it's just a case of, he's just not that guy. In his first season, where he scored 17 goals in all competitions, it seemed like he was gonna lead the way. It seemed like he was gonna be the catalyst for the next generation of Manchester United, next great strikers. Never materialised, obviously. So it is disappointing to see in that light. But that being said, he's had the opportunities, man. He's played a lot off the left wing. I will say that, but he's also played a heck of a lot, especially this season, as the main striker, as the number 9, and he's not done it consistently enough to be, for me, a Manchester United striker. Simple as that. That's all I'll say. Igalo, I feel like Igalo will have to come on. Again, as I mentioned before, if Martial's not doing it early, I feel like Igalo will have to look at bringing him on against his old team in, say, the 55th minute, not waiting until the 81st minute to try and get an impact substitution. That to me is not the way forward. May have worked on his day where we had tons of quality, and he'd get between 2 and 3 chances in 15 minutes. We don't possess that quality. We don't create that many opportunities. So for a substitution to have an impact nowadays, they've got to have at least 25 minutes to try and do something. So Igalo, he's got quality, don't get me wrong. He will always only be a bench player, I'd feel. It would have been interesting to see Igalo start against Club Brugge as well. Maybe his fitness isn't where it needs to be. But Igalo's record in the Premier League for a lower team in the Premier League, not bad. 16 goals in 55 games. As I say, could have been better, but wasn't. So, it is what it is. I've gone for a team of, and tell me if you guys agree with this, then we'll get into some of the match predictions. I've gone for a team of David De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back, Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly. I was so glad to see Eric Bailly back the other day, and see him performing. His athleticism is something that screams out, which complements Harry Maguire. Eric Bailly next to Maguire. If Bailly is to stay fit, it could work. And to be honest, I've been saying, look, we need to, between now and the end of the season, give the opportunity to either Eric Bailly or to Nzebe. Both, unfortunately, have been injured quite a lot. But I feel like if we give the opportunity to Bailly to play next to Maguire between now and the end of the season, drop Lindelof. If he brings back in Lindelof in place of Bailly, unless there's an injury, I'm done with Ollie, honestly, because the guy makes no sense. His selections have been questionable at times anyway, but there's potential here for a very good centre-back pairing in Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly. So for me, my prediction, by the way, for the lineup is based on what I feel Ollie will do. Only what I feel Ollie will do, not my. As I'm going along, I'll tell you what I'd prefer to do. But my match squad prediction is what I feel Ollie would do. And as I said, De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Maguire and Bailly centre backs. Luke Shaw, I feel like he'll go with at left back as opposed to Brandon Williams. I would prefer to see Brandon Williams play there. Fred and Matic as the two holding midfielders. Bruno Fernandes ahead of them two. I'd prefer it to be a 4-3-3, as I've said before. Matic being the one holding player, but I believe Scott McTominay is available for the game as well. So let's see how he does with that. I think he'll go with Daniel James off the left, Anthony Martial through the middle, and Mason Greenwood, I think he'll go for. I believe Ollie will know that he'll need to get some goals. I believe Ollie knows that probably in the side you've only got Martial and Greenwood and Bruno Fernandes now, I should say, that can create their own goal scoring opportunities. So the more of those players you have starting in the side, the better it will be for us in terms of creating opportunity. So yeah, that'd be fantastic if we can get Greenwood, Bruno, and Martial starting. As I say, Watford are away from home, so you can assume they'll park the bus. You can assume they'll have a few players just sat behind the ball. So the more players we have to create goal scoring opportunities, getting their own shots off, the better. So yeah, I'd like to see that as well. So get your comments in as well, what you feel the starting lineup will be. Also, before I get into the match score predictions, I'm just going to go to some of the comments. Palmeiras, what's going on, my brother? If we don't go out and smash them, then Ollie has a serious problem on his hands, I believe. So United, Isa, Payne. Okay. Watford are a slippery team. Ollie needs to be sensible in his tactics and park the bus. Defense is your best offense. What kind of rubbish is that? Can't say I agree with that one. If we're going up against Liverpool and City like we have done, we've gone 3-5-2, then yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But against the likes of Watford at home, where our record, as I was stating earlier, we've not lost, I believe, against Watford at home. So yeah, we need to go for it anyway. It's Watford. So let's have a look. Issa Payne one, absolutely nonsense, mate, says Palmeiras. How these two getting into it? How is it? What options have you got going forward? All United is now is an empty shell of a club. Trying to touch in a club. Palmeiras, Shane, you need some moderators, mate. Big shout out to Mad Mark TV. Okay, so just addressing a point of what Issa Payne said about being an empty shell of a club. I agree, we're not where we once were. However, in terms of what his other point was what do we have going forward? We have quite a bit in terms of how we can affect the team. It's just how Ollie deploys the team, I believe. Now, if he, for example, I said I prefer Brandon Williams to Luke Shaw starting. If Brandon Williams starts, he's a major threat down the left side. Quality, he's shown numerous times. He scored a couple of goals, won a couple of penalties, created loads of opportunities. So that's from a creative standpoint. That's an easy one. Wan-Bissaka's trying. He's not there yet. He can only get better. Defensively, he's brilliant. Best one-on-one defender. I keep saying it's not just me. You've got the ex-football pundits saying the exact same thing, so it's not just coming from myself. Bruno Fernandes, dangerous guy, can create his own opportunity, can create for others, as we all know. Mason Greenwood, that kid can be a world beater one day, and I believe he will be if guided and given the right opportunities. Martial, he can create his own opportunities as well. Dan James is more of a knock it in behind and see what he can do, or hit teams on a counter attack. Odion Igalo off the bench is a threat. Obviously Rashford and Pogba would be two main protagonists in terms of attacking threats, but they're both injured at the moment. So yeah, we've got quite a bit going forward as well. Matt Rush must win tomorrow. Must say I fancy Igalo to score. I wouldn't mind putting a bet on that one, to be fair. Igalo to come off the bench and nick one. I'd certainly, in fact, I forgot to do my bets there actually. Palmeiras, Maguire and Bailly, the dream team. That could be. Listen, we're all saying about the defense. Again, I stand with what I've said before. The defense, I believe, with Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, I think they're there for the next 10 years. Brandon Williams, again, if he progresses as he has done this season, again, he's one that we will be using in the short term and long term. So for me, that just leaves one position. That one position is also the goalkeeper situation, I should say. De Gea, if he reclaims his form next season, brilliant. But then there's also Dean Henderson. So the one position I was referring to that is a question mark at the back for Manchester United at the moment is next to Harry Maguire, which is the obvious one. And for me, we have two players in the squad already that could potentially fill that void in Eric Bailly, as I've already said, and Axel Tuanzebe. For me, Victor Lindelof, no, we'll never make that. If we're playing three at the back, then yeah, possibly he could be that guy, but no, definitely not him and Maguire. So, and as I said, leave Bailly in there for the rest of the season. Give Tuanzebe his opportunities if and when needs to, and then if it doesn't work out for them two, then you go out and look to buy another world-class centre back. Matt Rush says, I think Ollie sticks with his favourites. I agree. Bailly should play. Palmeiras agreeing with Matt Rush there. Matt Rush, Matic is a huge improvement, and around Christmas he was going that. Fantastic point there, Matt. I think for sure Matic was out the door. For sure he was out the door. But it was his consistent performances through lack of options, really, that has kept him at the club. That's what I believe, for sure. Palmeiras, I agree. Ollie was going Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Williams, even though I don't agree with that. Matt agreed with him. Palmeiras, Williams needs a rest, not being dropped, but a good rest to get his head right. It's not a bad shout. Brian Edwards, I think Greenwood should play centre forward, Martial left and Dan James right, with a mid of Bruno, Fred and McTominay. That's not a bad shout, that's not. Greenwood down the middle, Martial down the left, and Daniel James putting in the work on the right-hand side. That's a good shot there, Brian. I wouldn't mind seeing that one tested as well. McTominay, though, I don't think he'll start with McTominay. I think that's what he's aiming towards. I think ultimately we'll need to buy another creative, top-class central midfielder, and I think ultimately, Ollie sees McTominay as a leader. I think he sees him as a Darren Fletcher-esque type player, which for me, Darren Fletcher was always a squad player. He was never, if we had everyone available, if we had no injuries, then he was, I don't believe Darren Fletcher was a starter. So for me, that's what McTominay should be. I think we need to bring in a specialist. Keep saying again and again, time and time again, specialist central midfielder. That's what we need to get in place. I feel specialist central defensive midfielder, I should say. A la Akante and Didi. PSG picked up and was it Guy from Watford? We need someone like a natural ball winning central midfielder. That's who we need. Been watching our under 18s today. Connor Stanley, one to watch. Yeah, I've seen. I've not been watching. I've not got MUTV anymore. But I've seen quite a few highlights of the under 18s, and we've got a lot coming through. And what's that bushy-head kid's name? He's got massive throw. Something Mebri or something like that. He looks like a good proposition as well. Seen Bruno interview today. Totally the type of player we need more of. Yeah, great point there, Matt. I feel like we need players on as much as Igalo isn't that guy who will get us, 10, 15 goals maybe a season. We need players that want to be at the club. We need players that want to fight for Manchester United. We need players that are Manchester United players, Manchester United attitudes, morales, all that kind of good stuff. We need the right type of players to be blending in with the squad. With this squad, everyone wants a world beater, but there aren't that many world beaters. So we need players that are going to work within a system to benefit and the greater good of Manchester United. Simple as that as well. Palmeiras, yeah, I'd do that at Brian Edwards, yeah. Bruno, best signing since RVP. Remains to be seen there, Matt. Remains to be seen. I believe he's got the right attitude. I believe Paul Pogba, he wanted to start as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid for Manchester United when we still had lots of Carrick and Scholes, and came back, whether it was for the money or whatever the case may be. He came back to Manchester United. I believe he's failed within his performances, but we've also failed Pogba as well. So that being said, for me, Pogba should have been the best signing since RVP. He certainly had the best amount of quality in terms of his overall package, but Bruno Fernandes, there's time. There's time yet to see if he does become that guy. I feel like he will be, so I'd have to agree, but I can't really say we can crown him with that title just yet. Palmeiras, we could get Ndidi and Neves. I think we'll only get one. I think we need a central defensive midfielder, but I think we'll get another central midfielder. I feel like he'll go with McTominay as that CDM type guy, and then Fred to cover him, and Matic will end up being squeezed out of the squad. Not forgetting that we've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah. If we're looking for raw athleticism, then he's that guy. Give me an opportunity there. I'd like to see that. Matt Rush says, Mebri, that's the guy, that's the kid, sorry. Brian Edwards, without Pogba, we look normal, but without McTominay in the midfield, we look poor. No, great point there. Pogba, I remember his debut, his second debut for Man United, coming back from Juventus. You could just see he was miles better than what we already had, technically, physically. He was just miles better. He just really is and was, and it's just a shame that it's worked out how it's worked out. I fully expect Pogba to leave at the end of the season. That's how it's going to be. But we need to replace him with quality, and that's why I'm fearful, because I really don't know. Just going off the past tense, since David Gill's left and Fergie's left, we've not put a ton of quality in, or when we have brought quality in, we've not known how to hold them. A la Falcao, a la Di Maria, we let Herrera go. So for me, I'm just worried that when we let Pogba go, because I do feel it's a question of when, not if, are we going to be able to replace him? I'm really fearful of that, if I'm honest. Hannibal, that's it. Hannibal Mebri, yeah. He does look good. He does look, I apologise saying the bushy-head kid with a big throw, but yeah, that's the only way. But everyone knew who I was talking about, though. You all know who I was talking about, the big head kid, yeah. Why don't we loan out young players like Garner, Levitt, and make Gomez and Chong? Yeah. That's a great point. Joe Abraham there saying, why don't we loan out our potential young stars like Angel Gomez, like Tahith Chong, Garner, Dylan Levitt? Yeah, I completely agree. Why we're not loaning him out is a fantastic question. I feel like this is where Ollie's letting us down. That's what it comes down to. It's not. I don't believe it's a case of Woodward or Matt Judge. This is Ollie. The fact that we lost Herrera, that's Ollie. We lost Lukaku, that's 20 goals a season gone. That's Ollie. All the rest of the guys, though, that was deadwood and we've been balling out for years to get rid of. I feel like Ollie's done well there because we've got rid of tons of deadwood, tons and tons and tons of deadwood. Rojo, Young, Fellaini, Darmian, list goes on. There's tons of players that Ollie got rid of that was deadwood and we perceived as deadwood. The only player now that I feel like there is deadwood at the squad is Phil Jones. Everyone else, Ollie's gotten rid of in his short time here. So I rate Ollie for that. But like I say, going back to the point of our young players not being loaned out, that's all on Ollie. Gomez, if he leaves, that's on Ollie. If Steve Chong leaves, that's on Ollie. Angel Gomez, for those of you that know that I'm a massive fan of Angel Gomez and that he should have been given much more opportunities. The fact that he didn't play or wasn't even involved in the squad for the Europa League game the other day shows me that Ollie doesn't rate him, and he has done that before as well, and just shows me that he's going to leave. Simple as that. So I just don't. Nah, we're not going to be able to keep those kind of lads. And I feel like Angel Gomez may not be a bigger star as Paul Pogba has become, but I believe he'll become a mega quality player. That we've been crying out for players that can create their own opportunities. We've been crying out for players that can, create chances for others, their own opportunities, making sure that they're want for a better word, a danger to other teams. Someone the other team has to worry about. The more players that we have of those ilk, the more our other players get to thrive. Like I said, the more players we have on the pitch against Watford that can create for others and create their own opportunity, the better things will be for us. The better things will be for the other players. So for me, Ollie has sense, which I believe he has some, not a lot, some. I believe he'll go with Greenwood, Martial, and Bruno. That's 3 players that can both create for others and create their own opportunities. And it's been good to see Martial, because for me, Martial always looks to turn a corner and do those little 1-2s. Rashford, for me, technically isn't great, but he's a danger man. He's direct. He's a dynamo. He'll always put players on the back foot because of his directness and his goal scoring and in his powerful shot. So, whereas Martial looks for the intricate stuff. Now that he's got Bruno Fernandes in the squad, in the team with him, Bruno Fernandes likes playing those little 1-2s, and you've seen it on 3 or 4 occasions already in the couple of games that Bruno Fernandes has started in. You can see that ultimately Martial looks like he likes playing with him, and it was sad to see Rashford go down because it looked like Martial and Rashford were creating a bit of a partnership there. So it's all about partnerships. It's all about links in the team. It's all about, are you going to work hard for your teammate? So it's simple as that. Key man, I believe, for us will be Bruno Fernandes. It's not a mystery there, but like Matt said, the front 3 interchangeable. James can play on the right. He can play down the centre. Not that he's a centre forward, but they're all interchangeable. Martial can play off the left or down the middle. Greenwood can play down the right or down the middle. James is either wing, and he's been known to play down the middle as well. But that being said, if we can get, as I say, if we can get quite a few early opportunities and an early goal, I think that'll force Watford to try and come out at us and open the game up even more. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we end up getting a hatful. Hopefully Greenwood gets a couple. Martial gets 1. Bruno gets 1. That's what we need. We need regular, consistent goal scorers. That's what we need as well. I'll just go back to the comments and see what we've got down. Let's have a look. How many signing in the summer? How long Woodward takes and the Euros taking place? Good point. Probably 3 signings, I believe, in the summer. 1 central midfielder. Depending on how Bailly and Twinzabia go, play next to Maguire. If they do really well, I don't think, and stay injury free, obviously, then I don't think we'll sign another centre back. But I believe we'll get a striker, number 9, to play alongside Rashford because Martial isn't that guy. I believe we'll get another central midfielder, top quality central midfielder, and we'll possibly look to bring in another youngster that can possibly mould into the first team, like a top quality youngster, not someone that goes straight into our under 18s. Do you think we could realistically sign Sancho or Maddison? I think it's a BS to sell papers. Why would either of them have guaranteed Champions League football for us? Yep. So it's a good point there, Palmeiras. Now, with Sancho, if we get Champions League, which is a massive if, I believe that he wants to come back to the Premier League. Now, with Liverpool possibly looking at, there's whispers of selling Salah. Jadon Sancho would slot right in, obviously. But I believe Sancho has a bit of an affinity for Manchester United. Now, he grew up in London. He liked Manchester United as a boy. I'm not saying he was a Manchester United supporter, but it's been reported that he liked Manchester United. Lots of kids and lads like Manchester United. Simple as that. Simple as that. James Maddison is a Manchester United supporter till this day. I don't believe I think we'll be more pursuing Jack Grealish, because I believe, like Palmeiras said, the cost of trying to get James Maddison out of Leicester, as they'll be in the Champions League, they've offered him a new contract. Whether or not he signed that yet, I don't know. I believe Grealish is a cheaper option that Manchester United will look at. I believe he's also much more willing to leave Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa are much more willing to sell than Leicester are James Maddison. So for me, two of the signings that we'll look at for sure is Jack Grealish. As I said, another central midfielder, possibly another young lad. A centre-back if the Bailly Twinzabe experiment doesn't work out, and a striker. Wingers are in short supply in football all around now. Wingers are in short supply. Very, very good top quality wingers are in short supply. There aren't many out there. Simple as that. So Jadon Sancho will be hot property. He'll have his pick. Simple as that. We all know that. He'll have his pick. Will he choose Manchester United? Remains to be seen. Jadon Sancho, ultimately, I don't know. There's potential there. If we get into the Champions League, there's potential. But us getting into the Champions League, I believe, is beyond us. If we have Pogba and Rashford and we just signed Bruno Fernandes, when McTominay's come back from injury, then yeah, I believe we could make a serious push for the fourth position. But as Pogba's going to be out and he's not interested in Manchester United, as Rashford's going to be out, pretty much don't think we'll see him the rest of this season. I can't see us getting top four, unfortunately. Hurts to say, but yeah, I don't think it'll be the case. Any CDM we go for should have passed a willing to get dirty when necessary. Listen, Wilfred Ndidi is that guy for me. If we go for a CDM, I feel like we need to be pursuing him. That's the guy. If we need a ball playing CDM and we're hell bent on playing this 4-2-3-1 formation, then for me that means, as someone mentioned before, we need to be signing Ruben Neves, and Wilfred Ndidi. Those two will be very hard to get though. Not sure. United won't pay 90 mil for Maddison, and that was Matt Rush there. And I don't think Maddison's worth 90 million. Really don't. And I think we'll look at getting Grealish for about 45. And if Aston Villa get relegated, then maybe a little bit less. Lingard, Deadwood 2, Mr. Kajar says, not a bad point there. Yeah. The only thing is, what we've got to be careful of is if we're getting rid of squad players, which Lingard is now, simple as that, and we don't have enough squad players to cover if we do get injuries, I should say, then we're in trouble. That's my only thing. Casemiro isn't the best CDM, but he gets the job done. I agree there. That was Brian Edwards. If Gomez leaves, then that's on Gomez not being ready for this level. That was Mr. Kajar. I don't fully agree with that one though, because in the pre-season, only made a comment about Angel Gomez being too small. Since then, he's just given him 9-0 opportunities. He'd done really well in the pre-season, really, really well. And I thought, along with Greenwood, I said that Greenwood is going to get, 15 to 20 opportunities in terms of games, whether it be off the bench or starting. And I said maybe Angel Gomez 10 to 15. Angel Gomez played something like 3 games the whole season. for the first team. And that's, I think he started one game. So yeah, and that was in Europa League. So for me, that is down to opportunity and Ollie just having a distinct dislike to Angel Gomez, saying that it's too small. Simple as that. Grealish, yeah. Lingard has more playing time than Gomez. Yeah, that's true. Daniel Mensah. I look at Angel Gomez as Januzaj. If we don't use his talent, another club will. Now, it's a good point, but I feel like Angel Gomez has a lot more ability than Adnan Januzaj. I feel like he has that eye for unlocking the defense. His low center of gravity allows him to jink past players. He's just a player that we're crying out for, that we have, that we're just not utilizing. Simple as that. Ollie playing handball with Gomez and Chong. If they won't sign contracts, then they won't play. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he meant hardball. Liverpool will lose players this summer. You reckon? I don't see why they would, unless they want them to go. Maddison's deal to United hangs on Maddison signing a new contract yet. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he will. But yeah, I believe that depends on the amount of interest. So Manchester United talking to Maddison's agent will depend on whether he signs that contract. But then we'll have, like was mentioned before, I don't believe we'll be paying massive amounts of money that Leicester will be asking for. They will be asking for similar money as they did with Harry Maguire. Simple as that. Anyway, I shall leave it there. I shall love you and leave you. I may be on a bit later to do another video based on Bruno Fernandes saving Ollie's skin potentially. We'll have to see. But yeah, thanks for joining me again, guys. Oh, also, I forgot to mention the reason I haven't been on really over the past couple of weeks. Last week, Tuesday, I was playing football on 4G and I dislocated, well, what I thought was just a dislocated thumb. It turns out that I not only dislocated it, I'd ruptured my ligaments either side, my UCL, I think they called it, broken a piece of bone off, and then what else did I do? Yeah, basically the hospital was saying you all but severed your thumb. He said all that was keeping. So sorry for being gross, but the only thing keeping your thumb in place was your skin. He said everything else was severed. So yeah, that's why. So I've been up and down the hospital, had a minor operation that went well and all that jazz. So yeah, I've just been dealing with that. Plus it's been a half-term holiday, so I've had the kids all week as well. So yeah, it's just been majorly busy. So that with the hospital, kids, house, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all good though, man. It's all good. So yeah, got my lovely little cast on there. So can't do any gaming anymore for now. So yeah, but yeah, appreciate you joining me there, guys. I'll just read out the remaining comments. What's just sniffing? Yeah. Isn't Napoli's situation still bad? They have a decent players who want to leave. Great show, mate. This is much appreciated. Yeah, what's up with the cast? Yeah, so I'll just touch on that. Yeah, man, I'm getting all better. Listen, Koulibaly will only happen if Bailly and I believe Twinzabi doesn't work out. If they show signs of working out in the long term, we're not going to be spending big money on another centre back. That's what I believe, because there are other areas that we need to focus on, i.e. striker, central midfield especially. So yeah, I think that's what we'll be focusing on. But thank you very much for joining me, guys. I shall hopefully see you a bit later. Take care.